parents' marriage blew up.
Both of us! Susan is obviously more important to you than I am, or the kids.
Debbie, this marriage had problems before Susan.
Just get out!
Look.
Get out of here right now!
I'm not going to go over this again. It's a dead end.
You have to decide. Susan is obviously more important.
Oh, come on. Now, we had problems in our marriage long before Susan.
Oh, yeah, you're never home.
Oh, and you're missing perfect motherhood. Now, if you think that I'm going to waltz out of this marriage without these kids, you've got another thing coming. I am calling my lawyer.
Them.
Katie and I got pretty scared. We were crazy with questions. What was going to happen to us?
We're going to have to move, and Jennifer won't be my best friend anymore.
Maybe we'll have to go to different schools. And I don't think I could play hockey for any other school.
Maybe we won't be able to see Grandma and Grandpa anymore.
Look, I know we fight a lot, but I sure wouldn't want them to split us up. I mean, what if they make me live with Dad and keep you with Mom?
I love my room, and I never want to move out. We just redid it, and I'd die if I had to move out.
If Mom kicks Dad out, maybe she'll kick me out if she gets mad at me. The divorce started 2 years ago. As you can see, I'm still living to tell the story, but it hasn't been easy on any of us. We kept a journal about what happened. Mom and Dad each hired attorneys to represent them in the divorce action. Mom was really stressed out about who Katie and I would live with.
I'm afraid Jay will really fight me for custody of the kids. Is there any chance I'll lose them?
Well, it could happen. In most states, best interest of the child is what determines custody.
So all the wrong things I've ever done as a parent won't come back to haunt me?
No, you won't have to defend your parenting skills.
Well, I certainly think it's in the best interest of the kids to stay with me. I mean, Jay's hardly ever here. I mean, he's never home. What exactly does the custodial parent do?
It depends. It depends on what kind of custody you're going to have. There are primarily 3 kinds of custody. The first is sole custody, and sole custody means that the children reside with the custodial parent who makes all the decisions about how the children are raised. And the non-custodial parent has visitation and visitation only. The second kind of custody is joint legal custody. Joint legal custody means that the children reside principally with one parent and visit with the other, but that the parents make joint decisions in the areas of health, education, and religion, only the major decisions in those areas. The third kind of custody is joint physical custody. In joint physical custody, the parents make joint decisions just like joint legal custody, but the children reside with both parents part of the time with you, part of the time with your husband.
Mom's lawyer explained that joint physical custody arrangements are almost never used because they require so much cooperation between the parents. If they had that much cooperation, they would still be married.
In most situations, if the parents could parent well enough to do joint physical custody, they wouldn't be getting a divorce.
Well, that's true. What will happen to me financially once I'm divorced?
Well, you'll receive payments called child support, and you'll receive those until the youngest child is 18 or graduates from high school, whichever occurs last.
And do I have to spend all the child support money on the kids?
Well, child support's intended to be to support the family, and no one is ever going to ask you to account for where every penny of it went.
What about me? Can I collect alimony?
Probably. Alimony is also called maintenance or spousal support. In some states, there is no maintenance. It doesn't exist. In some states, you can get maintenance until you're back on your feet financially, and in some states, you can have maintenance for life.
I'll take the life. Can I get that here?
Probably not. You'll need to start thinking about how you're going to support yourself. You need to start looking for a job or thinking about some job training because you will be expected to work in the state.
Well, Scott is going to start college in less than 3 years. Am I going to have to pay for all his expenses?
Well, there are usually specific laws about each parent's contribution to college expenses.
Well, does the parent who gets custody have the kids for keeps, or can it be changed?
Oh, sure, things change. Parents move or remarry. Kids change, too. You can always go back to the court and ask to modify custody or child support.
Now, I really want the kids to live with me. Scott is at a point in his life where he needs a male role model, and Katie and I have always had a special relationship.
Well, most dads still don't get custody, Jay, but if you want it, I'll go after it for you.
Yeah. What do I have to do?
Well, first, set yourself up with the kids. Judges look for the best interest of the child in custody cases.
So the fact that I walked out on them isn't going to count against me?
No. You'll need to be less involved at work and really spend more quality time with the kids.
Well, that's going to be really tough. This is a very busy time at work. I'll have to try. What else should I do?
Well, get your own place, an apartment with 3 bedrooms. Make sure each kid has a bed, too, and make it nice and homey for them. A housekeeper would certainly help.
If I'm paying to keep 2 houses, there is not going to be much money left for anything else. Am I going to have to pay for a lengthy trial, too?
Well, jury trials are a thing of the past in divorce cases, but a trial could take several days and be quite expensive. Now, the judge will send you to a mediator first, just to see if you two can work out an agreement on your own.
Okay.
Mom and Dad had a lot of fights while they were married. They were worse than ever during the divorce. A court date was set right away to see who got temporary custody. In other words, who got Katie and me until the divorce was final. They also had to work out how the bills would be paid.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
We're here today on a petition for temporary relief. We're asking for temporary custody, visitation, child support, and maintenance. I have prepared the required financial affidavit of income and expenses for Mrs. Taylor.
Is custody going to be an issue in this case?
Yes, it is.
Well, then let's get started on mediation. Please draw the appropriate order.
We'll do so, Your Honor.
Obviously, if we can't work this out in mediation, we'll have to begin psychiatric or psychological evaluation.
Mrs. Taylor, who resides with you at that address?
My 2 children. Scott is 15 and Katie's 12.
And are you the primary caretaker of the children?
Yes, I am.
And is this affidavit a true and accurate representation of your income and your expenses?
Yes, it is.
Are you currently employed, Mrs. Taylor?
No, I'm not. I'm starting school next week and taking a nursing refresher course. I'm already a registered nurse, but I haven't worked in my field for over 15 years.
What do you expect to earn after you've completed your nursing refresher course?
Oh, about $25,000.
And have you tried looking for jobs without taking the refresher course?
Yes, I have, but I really need to do this course before I can get a job.
Mr. Taylor, are you currently residing in an apartment?
Yes, I am.
And how large is the apartment?
It's a 1-bedroom unit.
Have you paid any money to Mrs. Taylor since you moved out of the marital home?
No.
You're currently employed?
Yes.
And how many hours a week do you work?
About 60.
Isn't it true that your job requires you to travel?
Sometimes.
On average, how many days a week have you seen the children since you've moved out?
1 or 2 days.
What are some of the activities you've participated in with the children since you've been separated?
Well, we've gone to ball game, restaurants, some things at school, things like that.
My decision on temporary relief is as follows. Mrs. Taylor will have temporary physical custody of the children. Mr. Taylor will have visitation on alternating weekends from Friday evening until Sunday evening, and 1 evening a week to take the children to dinner. Based on the statutory guidelines, he will pay to her maintenance of $600 a month and child support of $1,000 a month. Mrs. Taylor, from this money, you will be expected to pay the mortgage on the home, all the utilities for the home, and all the expenses for you and the children.
So everything continued at home pretty much like always. It was almost a relief that Mom and Dad weren't fighting all the time.
You feel like you know it?
Yeah.
We still lived with Mom. She saw to it that our clothes were clean, we got to school on time. She helped Katie with her homework. The normal things parents do for kids.
Oh, here, a large family of poisonous and non-poisonous, plus including mushrooms.
She drove me to hockey practices because I still don't have my license. The only big difference was that Dad wasn't there. Mom started back to school part-time for her nursing refresher course. Katie kept hoping Mom and Dad would get back together. Mom told her there was absolutely no way. I found a support group at school that really helped me deal with the divorce.
Let's review this list of rights for children of divorce.
I have the right to see each parent. I have the right to talk on the phone with either parent as often as I want.
I have the right to parents who talk to each other about my problems and progress, at least 20 minutes a month.
I have the right to parents who take me out on my birthday together and who go to my important school activities.
I have the right to refuse to take sides against a parent. I can refuse to deliver any unkind messages from one parent to another.
I have the right to request to live with a different parent.
I have the right to absolutely no physical, sexual, or emotional abuse.
I have the right to change my visitation schedule if it interferes with my class activities or part-time job.
I have the right to discuss my reasons for not wanting to see a parent.
I have the right to see all my grandparents. It's like a competition, sort of. You feel like you have to compete going more with your mom.
We started having regular visitation with Dad. He took Katie and me out one night a week, and we stayed at his new apartment every other weekend. Mom and Dad were hardly speaking, so they both pumped me for information about the other.
Hey, is your mom dating anybody?
Dad, look. I feel like I'm ratting on Mom if I say anything. So cut the 20 questions, okay? She asked me about you, and I'm not telling either.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Scott, when you see your father this weekend, remind him that he's late again on the support payment. You can tell him he's only hurting you when he's late.
Mom, please don't ask me to do that. Please don't ask me to put myself in the middle of your problems with Dad. At first, we did tons of fun things with Dad on the weekend. Movies, restaurants. We saw more Dad than when he lived with us. He took us shopping and bought us everything we wanted. I got the rollerblades I've been wanting for months. It was really the good life. We could eat whatever we wanted, didn't have to make our beds, never had to pick up our stuff. Susan is everywhere Dad is. Katie and I hate that. We never get to see Dad without her there, listening to every word we say.
Yeah?
Mom was so crabby. She was on our backs all the time.
Get your skates off the dining room table. And Katie, your stuff is all over the living room. Now, I want you to turn this TV off and clean this place up. Do you understand me? I am not your maid. You need to learn to pitch in, okay?
Ma, you're such a grouch since you and Dad broke up.
Yeah, I like it a lot better, Dad, since he doesn't yell at us all the time like you do. I can watch TV whenever I want to.
Mom and Dad started going to the mediator to see if they could agree to custody without a trial.
Okay. Well, he has his girlfriend spending the night. I certainly don't think that's a healthy environment for my son or daughter.
Oh, come on, Debbie. You are so busy with school, you don't even have time for the kids. They spend more time with me than they do with you.
Well, if you'd pay more child support, I wouldn't have to work while Katie needs a full-time mom. I mean, she comes home to an empty house.
Look, this is our 5th meeting together, and I still see no spirit of compromise. You're no different than the first time we got together. Looks like we're not going to be able to reach an agreement. I'll notify the court that mediation failed.
That'd be a good idea.
The judge appointed a psychologist to evaluate the family. She met with us kids and Mom and Dad individually.
Now, I'd like for your kids to complete these psychological tests for me, and then I'll talk to each of you about your feelings and concerns. So how do you think things are going in your home now, with just you, your mom, and your sister?
It's really hard. Sometimes I just get so angry because things have changed so much. I feel like my parents broke their promise to us, to be a happy family.
I feel scared and hurt. I feel that my dad ran away from us and doesn't care about us anymore.
Now, how old were you when you married your husband?
Well, we started dating in high school, and we got married when I was 20. I'd just finished nursing school.
Tell me a little about your husband's family history.
Well, his father's an accountant.
I'll be preparing a report and providing it to both attorneys and to the court. Okay? Now, how long were you married to your wife before the two of you had your first child?
Less than a year. She got pregnant on our honeymoon. I was still in college, and we were living in student housing.
Tell me about your wife's family.
Okay. Her father is a professor.
While all this was going on, Katie was like a different person.
Good. Thank you for coming. Good. I'm glad you both were able to come down to the conference today. As you know, I was Kate's advisor last year also. She's changed a great deal.
Oh?
Yes. She seems very depressed and anxious. Her grades have dropped dramatically, and she doesn't seem to have any friends anymore. Is everything okay at home?
Well, we are in the midst of a divorce.
I think it's been pretty hard on the kids.
Changes in a child's emotional development are pretty common when a family is under stress. I have a brochure that might help. Oh, here. This brochure describes common reactions of children to their parents' separation and eventual divorce. Things like fear, regression, denial, increased aggression, inhibition, guilt, grief, yearning for the departed parent, and anger.
You know, Katie seems to change hourly, acting out one or another of these.
Yes. Well, there is something that you both can do to help cushion the divorce for Kate.
Like what?
For a start, she needs to spend time with both of you to get back that high-quality relationship that she used to have.
Well, you know, with going back to school and the divorce, I've been really preoccupied.
A cooperative, low-conflict relationship between you two would help a lot also.
Well, it's hard to be on the best of terms when you're divorcing, but I guess we could try a little harder to keep our disagreements from the kids.
She needs real consistent parenting, solid limits set on her behavior.
I've been so preoccupied she's been getting away with murder.
It's really been tough on her, but I guess we'll try to be a little bit more aware of her feelings and help her out so she can do a little bit better at school. And we thank you for your honesty and your input.
I hope it helps. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.
You know, Jay, the kids would be a lot better off if we'd worked together instead of fighting about everything, you know?
Yeah, you're right. We certainly don't want to see the kids start drinking or taking drugs or something like that because the marriage broke up.
Of course not. So why don't we give the mediator another try?
Well, we can work it out ourselves.
Well, I think it would be better for the kids.
All right.
Okay?
Let's give it another try.
All right.
Mom and Dad went back to mediation and reached some agreements that were in Katie's and my best interests. They agreed they would have joint legal custody of us, but that we would live with Mom and visit with Dad. If my mom and Dad can't agree on a major decision, then they'll have to go to a mediator to try to work it out before they go back to court. The divorce ate away a lot of our family's savings, because lawyers charged by the hour and my mom and Dad's attorneys each got paid over $150 an hour. We had to pay for the psychologist and mediator. They realized that the divorce was costing them a fortune, so they also worked out a financial settlement through mediation. They agreed on child support and maintenance. We're going to stay in the house with my mom until Katie finishes high school. and then the house will be sold. Mom and Dad will split the money from the sale of the house. 2 years later, I'm surviving my worst fears coming true. I'm not in hockey anymore. Money's so tight I've had to drop out of sports and get a part-time job so I can pay a lot of my college expenses. Next year, I'll have to live at home and attend a community college instead of going away, because the money just isn't there anymore. Life is harder now. There's all kinds of new problems, like my mom's new boyfriend. He drives Katie and me up the wall. And where were you last night?
Dancing. We went into the city to this really neat nightclub. We had such a good time. Come on, dance with me. And step back together. Come on. Come on.
Isn't this guy a little young for you?
Oh, well, yeah, he's a little young, but boy, do we have a good time together.
Why don't you go out with Walter anymore? He's more your age.
Walter is boring. Oh, honey, I'm not going to marry this guy.
I don't want you to marry anybody. Susan's okay, but one step-parent is enough.
Katie, don't worry. I am 100% your mom first and foremost.
Well, it doesn't seem like it. You're never home. Scott's always working. I feel like I live here by myself.
It seems like we see less of both parents. There's less time.
So he's not here yet, huh? Not only is he late on the child support check, he can't even pick you up on time. You know, I don't know what he's going to do when the baby comes. But you know what? That is his new wife's problem and not mine. Bye-bye. Have a good time.
Hi, kids. Sorry I'm late. I went with Susan for her checkup, and the doctor kept us waiting. Let's go, huh? Got everything?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go get something to eat, all right?
Still, all in all, each parent tries to be there for us. Mom and Dad may have divorced each other, but they didn't divorce Katie and me.